for world championships, multiple records shattered, an entire era defined by one name, Max Verstappen. But hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to reveal will change everything you think you know about his future. The youngest race winner in F1 history conquered controversy. He survived the most brutal title fight the sport has ever witnessed. He dominated so completely that championships were decided before summer break even arrived. Control, precision, inevitability. But in 2026, Max Verstappen faces something he's never encountered before. Not a faster rival, not a controversial steward's decision. For the first time in his career, Max may enter a season without knowing if his car is even capable of winning. And that uncertainty? It could define his legacy more than all 4 titles combined. To understand why this moment is so critical, you need to see what Formula One becomes in 2026. This isn't evolution. It's a complete reset. The power unit regulations rewrite the DNA of F1 performance. The sport shifts to a near 50-50 split between combustion power and electrical energy. A massive increase in electric deployment, energy recovery, and software control that teams are still learning to master. Engines become smaller, lighter, fully dependent on sustainable fuels nobody's fully optimized yet. Max himself admitted, fairly happy, but not entirely happy with the car. That single quote reveals more than any podium ever could. But the power units? That's just the beginning. Aerodynamically, everything changes. Cars shrink. Downforce drops. Active aerodynamics arrive, meaning wings adjust constantly on straights and through corners, demanding precision from both driver and system. Everything learned since 2022, partially obsolete overnight. History shows us what happens in moments like this. 2014, Mercedes cracked the code and dominated for nearly a decade. 2022, Red Bull understood the regulations faster than anyone and built a dynasty. And if you want to see how this dynasty ends, smash that subscribe button and join the 10K journey, because this story gets darker. So the question becomes unavoidable. Who gets it right in 2026? And will it be Red Bull? Here's where the risk becomes brutally real. Red Bull Powertrains has never built a complete Formula One power unit independently. Never. Until now, they benefited from Honda's decades of expertise and championship-winning development. From 2026 onward, Red Bull becomes an engine manufacturer, partnered with Ford, who brings funding and ambition but hasn't built a modern F1 engine since the early 2000s. Every competitor arrives with institutional knowledge spanning decades. Mercedes has built F1 engines since the 1950s. Ferrari since the championship's birth. Renault mastered the turbo era. Even Honda, when they failed spectacularly with McLaren, needed 4 years just to become competitive again. For years of pain. For years of Max's prime. And that Honda failure? That's the cautionary tale nobody at Red Bull wants to remember. An experienced manufacturer returned, underestimated the complexity, and collapsed under reliability failures and power deficits. Now imagine attempting that without any prior experience, while fighting teams who already understand these systems under race conditions. The dilemma is savage. Build a reliable but underpowered engine, and Max spends his prime fighting for 4th place. Push aggressively for performance, and risk failures that destroy championships before they begin. This is not a scenario Max Verstappen has ever lived through. But the timing makes everything worse. Red Bull's dominance didn't vanish suddenly. It began slipping in mid-2024, then became undeniable through 2025. McLaren caught up. Ferrari stabilized. Mercedes re-entered the fight. What looked untouchable became vulnerable within 18 months. And right in the middle of this decline, Red Bull lost the most important technical mind of the modern era. Adrian Newey. Before I reveal what this really means, hit subscribe if you're part of the Orange Army, because loyalty is about to be tested like never before. Newey didn't just design fast cars. He mastered regulation changes. Every Red Bull title carried his fingerprints, from the blown diffuser era to ground effect to the current generation. Now Red Bull faces the biggest regulation reset in a decade without the person who made those transitions look effortless. Unproven engine program. Massive regulation overhaul. Lost technical leadership. A team no longer operating from dominance. Max Verstappen has never faced all these variables simultaneously. When Max was asked about the 2026 regulations, he didn't hide his concerns. To me, it looks pretty terrible. I don't think that's the right way forward. That's not confidence. That's a champion staring into uncertainty. Every great champion before him benefited from proven machinery during their peak years. Schumacher joined Ferrari when the foundation existed. Vettel inherited Renault engines that were already championship winners. Hamilton built his legacy on Mercedes' power that redefined the sport. Max, for the first time, may become something different. Not just a driver chasing titles, but a development leader shaping an entire technical project while competing at the highest level. At 28 years old, he's entering his absolute prime. These are the years when drivers convert talent into history. And history is unforgiving to those who wait too long for the right car. Formula One is filled with examples where patience became regret. Fernando Alonso, 2 championships by 25, then years lost in uncompetitive machinery that can never be reclaimed. Daniel Ricciardo left Red Bull for what seemed like opportunity, only to watch Max build a dynasty with the team he abandoned. This turns Max's future into something deeper than competition. It's philosophical. Does he stay loyal and rebuild from the inside, accepting short-term pain for long-term control? Or does he protect his prime and choose proven performance elsewhere if the project falters? 3 reactions are already forming across the paddock. First, team loyalty. Red Bull invested everything in Max's career from 17 years old. Walking away during their first real struggle could define how history remembers him. Second, championship mathematics. If Red Bull struggles for even 2 seasons, that's 2 potential titles lost forever. In a career measured by championships, not intentions, that cost is permanent. Third, the domino effect. If Max even hints at leaving, every top team begins positioning. Mercedes has already shown interest. Ferrari always has a seat waiting for greatness. The entire driver market could explode. This isn't just about one season. This is about what kind of champion Max Verstappen ultimately becomes. Preseason testing in early 2026 will answer more questions than any race result. Scenario 1. Red Bull gets it right. The Ford partnership delivers. The new technical team adapts brilliantly. Max's legend expands into a 5th, 6th championship. He becomes the driver who didn't just dominate one era, but rebuilt a dynasty from scratch. Scenario 2. Red Bull struggles. Reliability issues plague the first season. Performance gaps emerge. Max fights for podiums instead of wins. The hardest decision of his career begins forming. Stay and hope, or protect the prime years every champion only gets once. Scenario 3. The paddock watches and waits. Because in Formula One, dynasties don't fall from external attacks. They collapse the moment they start believing they're untouchable. And every rival team knows. The moment Max becomes available, the entire landscape shifts. So here's what keeps the Orange Army awake at night. Has Red Bull's era of dominance already ended? Can an unproven power unit compete against decades of Mercedes, Ferrari, and Renault expertise? And most importantly, how long does greatness wait before opportunity becomes obligation? One thing's certain, 2026 won't just decide championships. It'll decide legacies. If you made it this far, you're part of the story now. Subscribe and join us as we track every development, every test session, every moment that determines whether Max Verstappen stays loyal or rewrites F1 history somewhere else. Because this season isn't about who's fastest. It's about who survives the gamble.